She's watching you right now. Not your words, but how you stand alone when everyone else follows the crowd. Women don't announce their tests. They embed them in conversations, sudden plan changes, and carefully timed silences. Most men fail without even knowing they were being evaluated. But here's what she's really measuring: your independence, emotional control, and that magnetic mystery you either possess or fake. Master these 7 hidden tests, and you'll understand exactly why some men naturally captivate while others desperately chase approval. Test of independence. Picture this. She suddenly announces she's made plans with her friends on the exact night you two were supposed to meet. Your stomach tightens. Is she losing interest? Testing you? Here's the truth. She's doing both, and your next move will tell her everything she needs to know about who you really are. This moment isn't about the plans themselves. It's about whether you'll crumble, compromise your own life, or stand firm in your own direction. Most men immediately start rearranging their entire schedule, canceling commitments, shifting priorities, all to accommodate her whims. They think they're being flexible and caring. She sees something else entirely: desperation masked as consideration. The man who operates from his own center responds differently. He doesn't get defensive or hostile. He simply acknowledges her plans and continues with his own. That works out. I've got something lined up anyway. Let's connect later this week. Notice what happens here. There's no negotiation, no guilt trip, no attempt to manipulate her back into compliance. Just a man who has a life that existed before her and will continue regardless of her participation in it. Women are instinctively drawn to this quality because it signals something primal. You're not a man who needs her validation to feel whole. Your world doesn't revolve around her approval. This doesn't mean you don't value her. It means you value yourself enough not to abandon your own trajectory every time someone else shifts theirs. Here's where most men get confused. They think independence means coldness or distance. Not at all. You can be warm, affectionate, and genuinely interested while maintaining your boundaries. The difference lies in your foundation. Are you giving from overflow or from emptiness? Are you sharing your life or trying to fill a void? She'll also test this by pulling back emotionally or physically. Suddenly, the texts slow down, the enthusiasm drops, the energy changes. This is where the weak reveal themselves. They panic, double down on attention, start questioning everything. Did I do something wrong? Are you okay? Why are you being distant? Each question broadcasts the same message: I need you to regulate my emotional state. The man who truly understands this dynamic does something radical. He lets her have her space without making it mean anything about his worth. He continues living, building, creating, pursuing his interests. He's not sitting by the phone manufacturing scenarios in his head. He's genuinely occupied with his own existence. This isn't a game or strategy. It's a fundamental orientation toward life. Are you the kind of man who needs constant external confirmation, or you're not? She's simply creating situations to see which one you are. And the beautiful irony? The less you need her approval, the more magnetic you become. Because true independence, the kind that doesn't perform or posture, is rare enough to be intoxicating. Test of emotional strength. Picture this. She suddenly shifts from warm to cold, from engaged to distant, all within minutes. You're left wondering what changed. But nothing changed. This is the test. She's creating emotional turbulence, not to confuse you, but to see if you'll panic, chase, or remain anchored in yourself. Most men crumble here. They immediately ask what's wrong, send multiple texts when she goes quiet, or worse, they mirror her mood swing with their own frustration. They've failed before they even realized they were being tested. Because emotional strength isn't about suppressing what you feel. It's about not letting external chaos dictate your internal state. She might pick a fight over something trivial. Maybe she criticizes your choice of restaurant or questions a decision you made with complete confidence last week. The content doesn't matter. What matters is whether you'll lose your composure, become defensive, or start seeking her approval to feel stable again. A man with true emotional strength recognizes the storm but doesn't dance in it. He stays calm, addresses the actual issue if there is one, and refuses to escalate drama for drama's sake. Then there's the empathy probe. She'll share something deeply personal, a struggle, a fear, a vulnerable moment from her past.
Watch carefully, because this is where many men reveal their emotional depth or lack thereof. Some rush to fix the problem, offering solutions she never asked for. Others minimize her feelings, saying things like, "Don't worry about it," or "It's not that bad." Both responses miss the mark entirely. What she's measuring is your ability to sit with emotions, hers and yours, without needing to escape them. Can you listen without making it about you? Can you hold space for her vulnerability without becoming uncomfortable or trying to rescue her from her own feelings? This requires a level of emotional intelligence that goes beyond surface-level sympathy. The man who passes this test understands something crucial. Emotions are information, not threats. When she's upset, he doesn't absorb her mood like a sponge. When she shares pain, he doesn't run from the discomfort. He remains present, grounded, and genuinely empathetic without losing himself in the process. Here's what separates the pretenders from the real deal. Emotional strength shows up in consistency. It's easy to stay calm during one heated conversation. It's another thing entirely to maintain that composure across weeks, months, even years. She's watching for patterns. Does he spiral when things get tough? Does he shut down emotionally when challenged? Or does he process, respond thoughtfully, and move forward without carrying resentment? This test reveals whether you're controlled by your emotions or in control of them. And that distinction determines everything about how she perceives your stability, your leadership, and your capacity to weather the inevitable storms that every real connection faces. Pass this, and you've proven something most men never will, that you're emotionally unshakable. Number 3. Test of mystery. The moment you reveal everything about yourself, you become predictable, and predictability kills attraction faster than anything else. She asks about your weekend, and while most men rush to fill the silence with every mundane detail, something different happens when she's dealing with a man who understands the power of restraint. He doesn't hide, but he doesn't hand over his entire story on a silver platter either.
This is what's actually happening in these moments. When she probes into your plans, your past, or your thoughts, she's not just making conversation. She's measuring whether you're someone who needs constant validation through over-explanation, or if you're secure enough to let some things remain unspoken. The difference reveals everything about your character. Picture this. She asks what you did last night. The average man launches into a detailed timeline. Every restaurant visited, every person encountered, every thought that crossed his mind. He thinks he's being open and honest. What he's actually doing is demonstrating that he believes his value lies in entertaining her with information. He's performing, seeking her approval with each additional detail. Now consider the alternative response. You mention you explored a new part of the city, tried something different, kept the evening spontaneous. Notice what's missing. The desperate need to justify or elaborate. You're not being evasive or playing games. You're simply comfortable with the fact that not everything requires a full explanation. Some experiences belong to you, and that's perfectly fine. This distinction matters because it speaks to something deeper than conversational habits. It reflects whether you derive your sense of self from external validation or internal certainty. When you feel compelled to share every detail, you're unconsciously seeking confirmation that what you did was interesting, worthwhile, or impressive enough. When you can hold back without anxiety, you're demonstrating that your experiences have value to you regardless of anyone else's opinion. Women test this specifically because mystery isn't about creating artificial intrigue. It's about having a rich internal world that doesn't require constant broadcasting. It's about being so genuinely engaged with your own growth, interests, and experiences that you don't feel the need to narrate them all for approval. The man who can do this naturally attracts curiosity because there's always more beneath the surface. She might ask about your past relationships, your childhood, your fears, or your dreams. Each question is an opportunity to either maintain your depth or flatten yourself into an open book that's already been read. The key isn't secrecy, it's selectivity. You share what matters in the moment, what deepens genuine connection, but you don't empty yourself out trying to prove your worthiness through transparency. This is why the test works. It separates men who are comfortable in their own mystery from those who are desperate to be fully known and validated.
Your willingness to remain partially undefined, to let her discover you gradually rather than all at once, shows a confidence that can't be faked. You're not afraid of misunderstanding because you know who you are, with or without her complete comprehension. 4. Test of self-confidence. Picture this. She asks you point blank, "Do you really think you can handle that?" Most men stumble. They either puff up defensively or backpedal with excuses. Both responses scream insecurity. She's not trying to insult you, she's calibrating. She wants to know if your confidence comes from within or crumbles the moment someone questions it. This particular examination cuts deeper than the others because it reveals something fundamental about your character. A woman will deliberately create situations that demand you show your hand. Maybe she introduces you to someone wildly successful in your field, watching how you carry yourself. Do you shrink? Do you overcompensate with bragging? Or do you simply exist comfortably in your own skin, unshaken by comparison?
This is what separates genuine self-assurance from its hollow imitation. The quiet ones always win. When you truly believe in yourself, you don't need to announce it. You don't require her validation or anyone else's approval to know your worth. She'll test this by withholding praise when you expect it, or by questioning your decisions when you're absolutely certain you're right. The man who waits for her endorsement has already failed. Watch what happens when she presents a challenge that stretches beyond your comfort zone. "I need someone to organize this entire event," or "Can you really fix that?" The insecure man reveals himself immediately. He either declines while making elaborate excuses, or he accepts while seeking constant reassurance. "Are you sure you want me to do this? I mean, I can try, but..." Every qualifier is a confession of self-doubt. Contrast that with the response of someone who's genuinely confident. He assesses the situation honestly. If he can handle it, he simply says so and proceeds. If he can't, he states that clearly without embarrassment or elaborate justification. No performance, no seeking permission, just direct, honest communication rooted in accurate self-knowledge. Women also test confidence through subtle social pressure. She might challenge your opinion in front of others, not maliciously, but to see if you fold when your viewpoint faces opposition. The confident man doesn't need everyone to agree with him. He can hold his position respectfully while remaining open to genuine discussion. He's not threatened by disagreement because his self-worth isn't tied to being right. Here's the paradox she's navigating. She wants a man who's confident enough to lead, but secure enough not to dominate. She's testing whether your assurance comes from deep self-knowledge or from desperate need to prove yourself. The difference shows up in everything: your posture when criticized, your reaction when she succeeds at something you failed at, your comfort level when she outshines you in certain areas. True confidence never competes. It doesn't compare. It exists independently of circumstances or other people's achievements. When you possess this quality authentically, her tests become irrelevant. You're not performing for her evaluation. You're simply being who you are, unbothered by whether that impresses her or not. And ironically, that's exactly what passes her test. 5. Test of authenticity. She'll test whether you're real or just another man wearing a mask to impress her. This might be the most dangerous test of all because you can't rehearse authenticity. You either have it or you don't. Here's how it unfolds. She's observing you in different environments, watching if your personality shifts like a chameleon adapting to its surroundings. Are you the same man at a formal dinner as you are grabbing coffee on a Sunday morning? Do you adjust your opinions based on who's listening, or do you stand firm in what you believe regardless of the room's temperature? Most men fail this test spectacularly. They become whoever they think she wants them to be. If she mentions she loves adventure, suddenly he's an adrenaline junkie. If she values intelligence, he starts name-dropping philosophers he's never read. She sees right through this performance because women are exceptionally skilled at detecting incongruity between what you say and who you actually are. The test intensifies when she challenges your core values. She might express an opinion that directly contradicts something you claim to believe. This isn't her being argumentative. She's checking if you'll abandon your principles to maintain harmony. Weak men will backtrack, soften their stance,
or worse, pretend they never held that belief in the first place. They sacrifice their truth on the altar of her approval. She'll also create situations that expose whether you're comfortable in your own skin. Perhaps she'll show up more casually dressed than you expected, or she'll take you somewhere outside your usual scene. The question is simple. Do you remain grounded in yourself, or do you become visibly uncomfortable, trying to compensate for feeling out of place? Deep conversations become her laboratory for testing authenticity. She'll share something vulnerable, something real, and she's weighing to see if you'll meet her at that level of honesty. Can you admit your failures without spinning them into humble brags? Can you acknowledge your fears without immediately covering them with bravado? Can you express genuine emotion without performing what you think emotion should look like? The Sigma male passes this test not because he's trying to pass it, but because he's incapable of being anything other than himself. His consistency isn't calculated, it's simply who he is. He doesn't shift his personality based on social context because he's already comfortable with the parts of himself that don't fit conventional molds. When she tests his authenticity by observing his reaction to criticism or disagreement, he doesn't become defensive or aggressive. He listens, considers, and responds from a place of genuine self-knowledge. He knows who he is well enough that external opinions don't threaten his internal foundation. This is why authenticity can't be faked for long. You can memorize confident body language, you can practice witty responses, you can even manufacture mystery. But authenticity requires something deeper, a fundamental comfort with your own truth, flaws included. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for someone real enough to admit imperfection. That's the man who passes this test without even realizing he was being tested. 6. Test of intelligence. She'll casually drop a complex topic into the conversation, something about geopolitics, philosophy, or a recent scientific breakthrough, and then she'll watch, not to see if you know the answer, but to observe how your mind works when challenged. This isn't about proving you're the smartest person in the room. It's about revealing whether you think for yourself or simply echo what you've heard others say. Most men make a critical mistake here. They either pretend to know everything, scrambling to impress with half-remembered facts, or they completely disengage, dismissing topics they're unfamiliar with. Both responses fail the test. The woman isn't looking for a walking encyclopedia. She's searching for someone who can engage with ideas, question assumptions, and admit when they don't have all the answers. Intelligence in this context goes far beyond academic credentials or professional success. She's measuring your ability to think critically, to connect seemingly unrelated concepts, and articulate complex thoughts with clarity. When you encounter an unfamiliar subject, do you shut down or lean in with genuine curiosity? Do you ask thoughtful questions that reveal you're actually listening, or do you wait for your turn to speak?
The man who passes this test understands that real intelligence shows up in the quality of his questions, not just his answers. He doesn't need to dominate every conversation with his knowledge. Instead, he creates space for exploration, bringing depth to discussions without making them feel like lectures or competitions. He can shift between serious analysis and lighthearted banter without losing his mental edge. Watch how this plays out in practice. She mentions a current event, perhaps something controversial. The average man either agrees to avoid conflict or launches into a rehearsed opinion designed to impress. But someone operating at a higher level does something different. He acknowledges multiple perspectives, points out nuances others miss, and arrives at his own conclusions through reasoning she can actually follow. He's not performing intelligence, he's demonstrating it through genuine engagement. This test also reveals emotional intelligence. Can you discuss challenging topics without getting defensive? Can you disagree respectfully when your views differ? Can you admit uncertainty without feeling diminished? These moments show her whether you use your mind as a weapon to win arguments or as a tool to understand the world more deeply. The most attractive part isn't showcasing what you already know, it's displaying an insatiable appetite for learning. When you say, "I don't know much about that, but I find it fascinating," you're demonstrating intellectual humility paired with curiosity. You're showing her that your mind remains open, always expanding, never satisfied with surface-level understanding.
She's also noticing whether you can make complex ideas accessible. Intelligence without communication skills is like having a library locked behind a door. Can you take sophisticated concepts and explain them in ways that invite others in rather than exclude them? This separates genuine wisdom from intellectual posturing. The man who truly understands this test never tries to prove his intelligence. He simply lives from it, letting his thoughts, questions, and insights speak naturally through every interaction. 7. Test of adaptability. Picture this. You've planned a quiet evening, everything mapped out in your mind, and suddenly she suggests something completely different, a crowded concert instead of that intimate dinner, a spontaneous road trip when you were ready to stay in. Most men either resist defensively or fold entirely, losing themselves in the process. But she's not testing whether you'll say yes or no, she's measuring something far more valuable: your ability to bend without breaking, to flow without losing your center. Life throws curveballs constantly, and a woman wants to know if you'll shatter at the first unexpected pitch or dance with the chaos while maintaining your ground. This isn't about being a pushover who agrees to everything. It's about possessing the internal flexibility to handle whatever comes your way without becoming reactive, bitter, or rigidly attached to how things should be. She'll change plans last minute, introduce you to unexpected social situations, or shift the entire energy of a conversation just to see if you can keep your composure while adjusting course. The difference between a man who passes this test and one who fails is profound. The weak man clings desperately to his comfort zone, complaining when things don't go according to plan, making everyone around him feel his resistance. The faker abandons himself completely, morphing into whatever he thinks she wants, revealing he has no solid core at all. But the man who truly understands adaptability, he treats change like an old friend. He doesn't need everything to go his way because he trusts himself in any situation.
When she suggests that last-minute change from hiking to exploring the city, he doesn't sigh with frustration or immediately abandon his own preferences. Instead, he considers it genuinely, perhaps offers a creative alternative that honors both ideas, or embraces the new plan with authentic curiosity. There's no performance here, just a man comfortable enough in his own skin that external circumstances don't dictate his internal state. He's not controlled by routines, though he may enjoy them. He's not imprisoned by plans, though he makes them thoughtfully. This quality reveals something deeper about character. It shows you can handle life's inevitable storms, career changes, family emergencies, relationship challenges, without becoming a victim of circumstances. It demonstrates emotional maturity, the ability to hold your frame while remaining fluid in your approach. Women recognize this immediately because they're watching how you respond to small disruptions, knowing those reactions predict how you'll handle major life transitions. The man who thrives here understands a fundamental truth. Control is an illusion, but your response to what you can't control is entirely yours. He doesn't see change as a threat to his identity, but as an opportunity to demonstrate his resilience. He's like water, powerful enough to carve through mountains, yet flexible enough to flow around any obstacle. This isn't weakness disguised as strength, it's genuine strength that doesn't need rigidity to prove itself. And when she sees you navigate unexpected changes with that quiet confidence, never losing yourself but never stubbornly resisting reality, she recognizes she's found someone rare, a man who can weather any storm while keeping his eyes on the horizon. So, there it is, 7 tests happening right now, whether you're aware of them or not. And here's what most men miss entirely. These aren't games designed to trick you or obstacles meant to frustrate you. They're invitations to reveal who you truly are beneath the surface, beyond the words you say and the image you project. Every woman worth your time is searching for something real in a world drowning in performance and pretense. The beautiful truth? You can't fake your way through these tests long term. Pretending to be independent while desperately seeking approval always shows. Acting emotionally strong while suppressing everything eventually cracks. Manufactured mystery becomes transparent. Forced confidence rings hollow, and false authenticity is the greatest contradiction of all.
Intelligence can't be mimicked in meaningful conversation, and rigidity masquerading as strength crumbles when life demands flexibility. But when you genuinely embody these qualities, when independence flows from self-knowledge, when emotional strength comes from processing rather than suppressing, when mystery emerges naturally from depth, you're not passing tests anymore. You're simply being yourself, and the right woman recognizes that immediately. She's not looking for perfection. She's searching for authenticity, for a man grounded enough in himself that he doesn't need her validation to know his worth. Become that man, and these tests transform from obstacles into opportunities, chances to demonstrate exactly why you're unlike anyone she's ever met.